The smile. Behind the mask. Take a slow, gentle breath with me. Let's do something we rarely allow ourselves to do. Imagine standing quietly in front of your mirror, watching yourself as you put on a smile. Now really look. What do you see in your own eyes behind that smile? Is it pure joy? Or maybe a flicker of something else? A hesitation? A sadness? A story that has not been told? Most of us learned from a very young age that a smile is the symbol of everything's okay. If you're happy, you should smile. If you're proud, you should smile. If you're strong, you should always smile. But what about the times when you're hurting inside? When life feels heavy or confusing? Somewhere along the way, we also learned that the world sometimes wants us to smile, even when our hearts are breaking. Our culture celebrates positivity, but too often it does so at the expense of our authenticity. We hear, keep smiling, stay strong, don't let them see you sweat. The message is clear. Hide your pain. Present your best self, no matter what's happening inside. But here's a truth I wish someone had told us all. Behind the brightest smiles are often the deepest stories of struggle, longing, and pain. Robin Williams, the legendary actor who made millions laugh, once confessed, "I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy, because they know what it feels like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that." Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what does your smile really hide? Is it a story of hope and overcoming? Or is it a mask for the hurt, the disappointment, the fear that maybe, if you show the world your real self, you won't be accepted? You're not alone. Every day, millions of people step into their lives wearing masks that the world can't see. We smile at work. We smile with friends. We smile even with family. Sometimes just to keep the peace or avoid uncomfortable questions. We become so used to wearing the mask that it starts to feel like our real face. But have you noticed that sometimes, when the house is quiet or the night is dark, the mask starts to feel heavy? That's your soul asking for a breath of honesty, a moment to be seen and loved for exactly who you are. No performance necessary. I remember a conversation with a friend who seemed to have it all together. She was successful, always cheerful, the first to crack a joke at any party. But one evening, as we talked quietly, she admitted, "I don't even know what my real smile looks like anymore. I'm afraid if I ever took the mask off, people wouldn't recognize me. Or worse, they wouldn't want me." This is not just her story. It's all of ours. Studies by Dr. Brené Brown, one of the world's leading researchers on vulnerability, show that the more we hide our pain, the more isolated we feel, and the more we lose connection not only with others, but with our own hearts. As Brené says, we cannot selectively numb emotions. When we numb the dark, we numb the light. So tonight, as you listen to this episode, I want to offer you a gentle invitation. What if you didn't have to be perfect all the time? What if your smile could be real? Sometimes shining with joy, sometimes trembling with the effort it takes to keep going? What if your truth, not your performance, is the real key to connection? This episode is for everyone who has ever wondered, would anyone still love me if I stopped pretending I was okay? For everyone who has ever longed to take off the mask and just breathe. For everyone who knows that true strength is not about never feeling pain, but about finding the courage to face it, honor it, and share it. So, as we continue this journey, I invite you to pause and reflect. What is the story behind your smile? Who are you beneath the mask? If you feel brave, share your answer in the comments. If you're not ready, just know that you are not alone. This is a safe space for you, for your story, and for the real, beautiful, imperfect person beneath the mask. And if this message resonates, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Because the more we open up together, the lighter our burdens become. Stay with me, because in the next part, we'll go even deeper, exploring how and why we learn to wear these masks, and how we can begin, step by step, to set ourselves free. You are worthy of being seen. You are worthy of being loved, just as you are. The early lessons, why we learn to wear masks. Let's travel back for a moment, to the tender years when we first learned what the world expected from us. If you close your eyes and listen, you might remember some of the earliest lessons life gave you about emotions. Maybe you heard them from a parent's gentle, worried voice. Don't cry, honey. Be strong. Or from a teacher trying to encourage you. Big boys don't get scared. Or from someone you loved, whispering quietly in the aftermath of an argument. Good girls don't get angry. These aren't just phrases. They're scripts. And like actors in our own lives, we quickly learn the roles we're supposed to play. We are praised for being quiet, for smiling when we're disappointed, for swallowing our anger or hiding our tears. We learn to fit in, to be mature, to not make others uncomfortable with our true feelings. Think about your own childhood. Did you ever get rewarded for being so brave when you didn't show you were scared? Did you get extra hugs for being the easy child, the one who never caused trouble? Or did you learn that some feelings, sadness, fear, anger, were bad or too much and should be hidden away? It happens to almost everyone. At first, these masks are a kind of protection. They help us survive, especially in families or cultures where vulnerability is misunderstood or unwelcome. But over time, the mask becomes more than a shield. It becomes a habit, so familiar that we can forget who we are underneath. Dr. Brené Brown, whose groundbreaking work on shame and vulnerability has touched millions, explains, we numb vulnerability. When we're waiting for the call, the relationship, the job, or the diagnosis, we numb the dark. And when we numb the dark, we also numb the light. Think about that. In protecting ourselves from pain, we often end up blocking out our joy, creativity, and real connection too. Maybe you remember the first time you put on your own mask. Was it after you lost something you loved, a pet, a friend, a dream, and you were told to move on before you were ready? Or maybe you learned to smile and say, I'm fine, just to keep peace at home, or fit in with classmates at school. Or perhaps your mask was built slowly, over years, layer by layer, each time someone dismissed your feelings or told you to toughen up. The truth is, these masks aren't our fault. They're a natural response to the world around us. But as adults, they can hold us back. The mask that once protected you as a child can, over time, keep you from experiencing real intimacy, creativity, or even self-acceptance. I want to share something from my own life. For years, I wore the mask of the helper. I was always the one to cheer up others, to be the rock, to make sure everyone else was okay. I thought my value was in being strong for others, even when I was falling apart inside. It wasn't until I started asking myself, who am I when I'm not helping? Who am I when I'm just me? That I began to see the mask for what it was, a habit, not my identity. So let me gently ask you as you listen. Can you remember the first time you realized you were hiding your real feelings? Was there a moment when you wanted to cry but didn't? Or a time when you laughed, even though your heart ached? Maybe you put on a brave face for your family, your partner, your friends, because you thought you had to. Here's a simple, powerful exercise for you tonight. Find a quiet moment. Take a pen and paper and write down the first time you remember wearing your mask. What was happening? What did you need to hide? What would you have said or done if you knew it was safe? This is the beginning of healing. Noticing the mask, naming it, and giving yourself compassion for wearing it. As Carl Rogers, a pioneer in humanistic psychology, said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." You don't have to rip off your mask all at once. Just notice it. Lift it gently, even for a moment, and let your real self breathe. If you feel called, share your story or your reflection in the comments below. Let's create a space where honesty is celebrated and masks are optional. And if this episode moves you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because your courage might be exactly what someone else needs tonight. Stay with me, because in our next segment we'll explore what really happens when we keep hiding, and how letting go of the mask, little by little, can bring us closer to real freedom. You are not alone. You are worthy, just as you are. Smiling through pain, why the mask feels safer. Let's pause and be real for a moment. How many times have you told yourself, if I just keep smiling, if I just keep going, maybe the pain will eventually disappear? How often have you pushed through a tough day, put on your brave face, and convinced yourself, and everyone else, that you're fine, even when you're hurting inside? It's a story that many of us know all too well. We live in a world that often celebrates resilience, but sometimes that celebration can turn into pressure. The pressure to be the strong one, the expectation to keep things together, no matter what's happening beneath the surface. But here's something science now confirms. Suppressing our true emotions doesn't make them go away. Neuroscience has shown that when we ignore or bury our feelings, we don't actually erase them. We just push them deeper into our bodies and minds. Over time, this can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even physical symptoms like fatigue, headaches, or pain we can't quite explain. Dr. Gabor Mate, a renowned trauma and addiction expert, offers powerful insight. When we shut down emotion, we're also shutting down the part of our brain that allows us to connect with others. Think about that for a moment. When you hide behind the mask, you don't just lose connection with others. You start to lose connection with your own self. Maybe you know what it's like to be the strong one in your family or group of friends. Maybe you're the person who's always there to cheer everyone up, to give advice, to make sure everyone else is okay, even while quietly wondering if anyone will ever truly see you. Or perhaps you're the one who's always the life of the party, the one who keeps things light with a joke or a smile. But when the lights go out and the crowd is gone, you're left with a quiet ache, a longing for someone to ask, "How are you doing?" Really? This is more common than you might think. So many of us carry the burden of silent struggle, believing we have to be perfect, or at least seem unbreakable. Social media only adds to this illusion, showing highlight reels of smiling faces, perfect families, and effortless success. But behind every carefully curated image, there is a real, imperfect, feeling human being. Consider the late Robin Williams, one of the most beloved comedians and actors in the world. He brought laughter to millions, yet struggled deeply with depression and loneliness. As he once poignantly observed, "I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy, because they know what it feels like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that. It takes courage to admit when we're not okay." But here's the truth. The mask may feel safe, but it's also heavy. It keeps us isolated, tired, and cut off from genuine support. Let me share a story. A close friend of mine was the rock for everyone in her life. She was the problem solver, the listener, the cheerleader. On the outside, she looked like she had it all together. But she confessed to me one day that she often felt invisible, like nobody really knew her struggles, because she never let the mask slip. It wasn't until she dared to share her real feelings with a trusted friend, just once, that she felt the deep relief of being truly seen. That moment, she said, was the beginning of real healing. So tonight, I invite you to ask yourself honestly, are you carrying the weight of being the strong one? Have you been smiling through the pain for so long, you can't remember what it feels like to let go? Freedom starts the moment you say to yourself, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to let the mask slip, even for a breath, even just with yourself. Remember the words of psychologist Carl Rogers. The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Your vulnerability is not weakness. It is a doorway to connection, to healing, and to living a life that feels real. If you're ready, share your story in the comments below. Or, if that feels too hard, simply write down for yourself what your smile might be hiding. Give yourself the kindness you so freely offer to others. And if this episode speaks to you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay with us. Because in the next segment, we'll explore how the courage to be real can lead to the deep connections and freedom you truly crave. You are not alone on this path. Let's keep walking it together. Real life stories. The bravery of vulnerability. Let me invite you to pause and listen to a story. A story that may sound a lot like yours, or perhaps someone you know. A few years ago, I met a woman everyone called the sunshine of her community. She was the organizer, the one who planned family holidays, sent birthday reminders, showed up with food for the sick, and always had a kind word ready for anyone having a tough day. Her smile was radiant, her laughter infectious. You'd look at her and think, she must be so happy. She must have it all together. But one evening, when the noise had faded and it was just the two of us over coffee, she grew quiet. She stared at her hands, then finally whispered, "Sometimes, I wish someone would see past my smile and just ask, are you really okay?" In that moment, her mask slipped. For the first time, I saw the real woman behind the sunshine. A person who was tired, who carried invisible burdens, who wondered if anyone ever truly saw her. That moment changed everything. Not just for her, but for me. Because in her honesty, in her willingness to be vulnerable, she gave both of us permission to drop the mask. I didn't have to pretend I was okay either. There was relief, and there was real connection. It's so easy to believe that vulnerability means weakness. That if we let people see us cry or confess we're struggling, we'll be judged or rejected. But the truth is, vulnerability is the bravest thing we can offer each other. It is the opposite of weakness. It is the birthplace of real connection. Dr. Brené Brown, whose groundbreaking research on shame and vulnerability has touched millions, reminds us, Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome. And that courage is what opens the door to authentic relationships, to deep healing, to lives that feel honest, not just polished on the surface. Think about the stories that have moved you most in your life. Books, movies, real people you admire. What makes them memorable? Is it the flawless heroes? Or is it the ones who fell, who failed, who dared to say, "I need help," or "I'm scared," or "I can't do this alone"? In my own journey, some of the most meaningful moments have been when I dared to be real with someone I trusted. When I admitted I was struggling, or asked for support, or shared a truth I'd been hiding. Almost every time, the response wasn't rejection, but a softening. An honest, "me too," or "thank you for sharing that," or even just a silent, understanding presence. And research backs this up. Studies show that people who allow themselves to be vulnerable, to show their real emotions, report stronger, deeper connections and less loneliness. Vulnerability is magnetic. When you drop your guard, others feel safe to do the same. So I invite you now, as you watch or listen, what is a story from your life? A moment when you let your mask drop. When did you last let someone see the real you? Or maybe you're longing for that chance now. Even if you're not ready to share out loud, write it down for yourself. Let it breathe. And if you feel called, share in the comments. "I want to be seen." Or, "This is the real me." Or, "When I let my guard down, I felt." Your words could be the open door someone else needs tonight. Remember, the bravest thing you can do is to show up just as you are. Messy, imperfect, but real. Because, as Leonard Cohen wrote, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Let your story be that crack. Let your truth be the light. And if this message touched you, please subscribe, like, or share this video. We're building a community where masks are optional and honesty is celebrated. And in the next segment, we'll explore what happens when we dare to take off the mask for good. The freedom, the risks, and the new beginnings that come with choosing to be real. You're not alone. You're seen. Let's keep walking this journey together. The cost of hiding, emotional masks, and mental health. Let's pause and ask a question that takes real courage. What happens if we never take off the mask? What is the true price we pay for a lifetime of pretending everything is fine? The answer, I believe, is heavier than most of us realize. For many, the mask feels safe, at first. It protects us from judgment. It helps us survive in a world that sometimes seems to prefer easy answers and happy faces. But there's a hidden cost, and over time, it can become almost unbearable. Psychologists have shown again and again, chronic emotional suppression, the habit of hiding how we really feel, doesn't just make us feel a little off. It is strongly linked to depression, anxiety, loneliness, and even physical problems like a weakened immune system or chronic pain. The more we hide, the more disconnected we feel, not only from others, but from ourselves. Think about it. When you keep a part of your heart locked away, you begin to lose touch with who you are. You might find yourself in a room full of people, smiling, but feeling utterly alone. Or lying awake at night, replaying conversations, wondering, if they knew the real me, would they stay? So, we keep the mask on. We tell ourselves, no one could ever love the real me. so I'll just keep pretending. But pretending is exhausting. It's a quiet kind of suffering, the kind that never makes the news, but slowly eats away at your spirit. Dr. Gabor Mate, an expert on trauma, writes, "When we suppress our pain, we also suppress our capacity for joy. It's as if numbing the bad numbs the good too. We become strangers to our own hearts, unable to feel truly alive." The American Psychological Association warns that this kind of emotional suppression can even contribute to autoimmune diseases and chronic illness. It's not just in your head. It's in your body, your relationships, your whole life. But healing, like all journeys, begins with a single brave step. It begins when we dare, just for a moment, to drop the mask. Maybe it's a whispered confession in the dark. I am struggling, and that's okay. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend with a shaky text. I need support. Or perhaps it's letting yourself cry, without apology or shame, for the first time in years. Carl Rogers, the father of humanistic psychology, once wrote, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." Healing doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't require you to be happy all the time, or to have all the answers. It simply asks you to be honest. With yourself, first of all. So let me invite you, right now, find a quiet moment. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling beneath this mask? If it feels safe, share your answer with someone you trust, or write it down, just for you. That small act of honesty is the beginning of change, and if you need a little more encouragement, listen to these words from Brené Brown. Imperfections are not inadequacies. They are reminders that we're all in this together. You are not alone in your struggle. We all have days when the mask feels too heavy. But every time one of us chooses honesty over perfection, we make it safer for others to do the same. So if this message resonates with you, I hope you'll share it. Subscribe, like, or comment with one small truth about how you're really feeling today. You never know who you might inspire by simply being real. Remember, healing starts with honesty. And the real you is worthy of love, exactly as you are. Let's keep walking this journey together, mask by mask, truth by truth, step by step. You belong here, you matter, and you're not alone. Chi healing practice, letting the mask down, step by step. Tonight, I want to invite you to join me in a gentle, real-world practice, one that doesn't require perfection, only your honest presence. First, find a safe, quiet place. Maybe it's your bedroom, a favorite chair, or just a peaceful moment in your car before heading inside. Close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and let your shoulders drop. Let's just be here, together. Now, ask yourself, gently, without judgment, what emotion am I hiding right now? Maybe it's sadness, frustration, fear, or even a quiet hope you've been afraid to say out loud. What's the feeling beneath your smile today? And then, ask yourself one more question. What do I wish someone would ask me right now? Maybe it's, how are you? Really? Or, is there something you need that you haven't shared? These are the questions we long to hear, but often never receive. If you feel safe, write your answer down in a journal or on your phone. Sometimes, seeing our feelings in black and white helps us name them, own them, and finally release a little of their weight. If you feel brave tonight, share your truth with someone you trust, a partner, a friend, a therapist. If you want, post it in the comments below. Let this space become a community where honesty is celebrated, not judged. Sometimes, the most healing thing is simply to be heard. Research in psychology confirms that naming our emotions is the first step toward healing them. Dr. Kristen Neff, a pioneer of self-compassion, says, "With self-compassion, we give ourselves the same kindness and care we'd give to a good friend." Isn't it time we offer ourselves that same gentle care? So, as you go through this practice, try saying to yourself, out loud or in your heart, "I accept myself, mask and all. I deserve to be seen." Notice what it feels like to say those words. Even if it feels awkward at first, remember, healing doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from being real. If you're up for it, take off your mask for a moment tonight. Maybe that means letting yourself cry for a few minutes without wiping the tears away. Maybe it's sitting in silence with someone you trust and saying, "I'm not okay," and that's okay. Or maybe it's leaving a comment here, letting others know they're not alone. It might surprise you how freeing it feels to let your guard down, even just a little. With each moment of honesty, your true self shines through more and more. That's how we build a life that feels not just impressive on the outside, but peaceful on the inside. If this practice brings up feelings you're not ready to share, that's perfectly okay. Simply being with your truth, even in private, is a step toward healing. So tonight I challenge you, gently, compassionately, to let the mask slip. Practice honesty, first with yourself, and then, if you feel ready, with someone else. And if you'd like, come back here and share your experience. Remember, every small act of self-acceptance is a ripple of healing. First in your life, and then, perhaps, in the lives of those around you. We're building a community where truth is welcome, where your real self is enough, and where kindness is our shared language. If this resonates with you, subscribe, like, and invite a friend to join us next time. Together, we are learning to live unmasked, one breath, one step, one truth at a time. You are worthy of being seen. Let's keep walking this path together. Your smile, your truth. As we come to the close of tonight's episode, I want to leave you with a gentle but powerful reminder. Your smile is beautiful, but your truth is even more powerful. You don't have to choose between protection and authenticity. Both have their place. But real healing begins when you dare to be seen. Not for the mask you've learned to wear, but for the honest, resilient soul you truly are. We live in a world that often praises appearances, sometimes at the expense of what's real. We scroll through highlight reels, surrounded by curated images of happiness and success. But beneath it all, we long for something more. To be truly known. To be truly accepted. To feel that our stories, our struggles, and our scars are not only allowed, but welcomed. So tonight, I want to invite you into this conversation. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what does your smile hide? What is one truth you're ready to share, even if it feels vulnerable or raw? You don't have to reveal everything. Just one small truth is enough. A feeling, a hope, a fear, or simply the reality that I'm not okay right now, but I'm still here. When you share your truth, you do more than lighten your own burden. You open a door for someone else. Because every time someone dares to speak honestly, it sends a ripple of permission out into the world. Psychologist Brené Brown puts it beautifully. Vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. It's not weakness. It's your superpower. So, if this message touched you, please take a moment to join the community in the comments. What's a truth your smile has hidden? Or what's one small step you want to take toward authenticity this week? Maybe it's having a real conversation with a friend, or simply writing your feelings down for yourself. If you found value in this episode, I encourage you to subscribe, like, and invite someone else to join us. Your participation doesn't just help this channel grow. It helps build a space where realness is not only accepted, but celebrated. Because here, you're not just another viewer. You are a fellow traveler on this path. Your courage, your struggles, and your story matter. And I want you to know, you are not alone. You belong here. Your presence is enough, exactly as you are. In our next episode, we'll dive even deeper into the art of building authentic connection, learning how to relate to others without fear, without masks, and with an open, compassionate heart. So as you close this video, take one more breath. Let your shoulders relax. And remember, every journey of healing, every act of honesty, every moment of courage begins with a single step. Let's keep walking this path together. One truth, one breath, one step at a time. Thank you for being here. See you next time.